pulley rig. Okay, the famous pulley rig. It's a classic. It's a rig which 90% of anglers will use 100% of the time. I know guys won't use anything else. They go out with a pulley rig and that's the only rig they'll use. Very good rig, lot of success over the years with it, and myself as well, you know what I mean? So it's always a good one. So with that, how would you make them up? Lots of people use different gear, lots of people use different ways of doing things. Me personally, this is the way I do it, and I find it works. Obviously with the specimens, I bulk everything up for what I'm targeting. What I would always say to you, look at what you're using it for. If you're using it for going down targeting a few whiting, or you're going down using it for placing, or you're going down for a few bassing off the beach and stuff like that, you do not necessarily need to make these rigs like I am at the moment. I'm out targeting specimen fish, and one of the reasons I overscale with my stuff is a simple fact that I don't want to lose something. Okay, and I've had it growing up in the past, and I think it's one of those things where it's trial and error, and you learn along the way. And I personally, out of experience is probably the best word for it, know that £80 sometimes isn't enough when you're targeting rays. If you land them on it, don't get me wrong, but I've had big fish and I've lost big fish due to that, and not it going there on the trace line or anywhere else. It goes down there. Okay, that rubbing of abrasion, so that's in my mouth now, you know what I mean? And especially with the rays, they've got it's like sandpaper, very, and it will put wear and tear. And a lot of the time when you're on the reefs and you're catching 5 or 6 pounders and stuff like that, you look at your traces and that, and they're getting smashed. And I recall a session I had many years ago down on the River Yelm, and I had a monster thornback on, I mean massive thornback ray, and the guy I was with, it fought high. It's the first time I've ever seen a ray with the tide come out of the water, and I mean come out, breach the water completely and land down. And we've got it around to the point. I was reeling, got it up, and as it come out sideways, if we had a gaff, we could have gaffed it straight away, but went to grab a trace and it just parted straight away. And I feel personally it was down to how hard the fish fought and the abrasion on it. It just took that little, you know what I mean? And it's just one of them, and I've learned by it. Of that I have, and I won't use anything else except from £100 now. Now this here is it's about like 0.90, so it's only an extra point bigger than an 80 normal, but it's £100 in strength. Okay, it's by Sakuma, very supple, and it's just a lovely shock leader, and it's a lovely trace line. I mean, like that now, if I pull it right, there's no twist in it. It lies lovely. It's just a very good trace line to use. What am I using on the business end then? So what I've got there is I've got the 6.0 octopus from Sakuma, and I've also got a J-hook, a Manta Extra, and that's a 6.0 at the moment. So I've got 2 6.0s on. Reason I'm using 6.0s, if I'm honest, I would, if I'm out and out targeting fawnies and stuff like that, sometimes I'd use like just chinos, like 2.40 chinos is more enough, and make sure I've got an octopus on the top or whatever like that. But because I've got a chance of a cod today, I want bigger hooks. But cods have got big mouths, you know what I mean? If you get a big cod come along, I'm using big baits, you've got a good chance of catching it. I've got a chance of catching a good cod today. So I want to make sure I'm keyed up and target everything I've got in there is going to handle and is going to do what I want it to do. So you'll land a big fawny on that, and you'll land a big cod on that. Congers, you've got a chance of anything like that up here. Bass, big bass, big congers. I say big congers, you've got a chance of like a 20-pounder up here. I would say big cod and big fawnies is probably the main target today, but I'm specifically after a fawny. And that's the reason I've come into the bay here, because you seem to get a lot of the fish come into the bay, especially the rays. But if you look at that there now, I've got a bead, a rubber bead in between. So what that does is when I'm baiting up, I'll keep that bead down at the bottom there, okay? And then when that comes around like that, now if that goes to pull and it goes down like that, it can pull all the way down like that, a rod long. And look at that there now, it just goes straight back onto the bead. It's protection of that knot. And I have had many fish, especially rays, take that top hook down, and you know what I mean, and be holding on that rubber, you know what I mean. Even my big blonde, like 27-pound 2 blonde ray, exactly the same. And when it come in like that, it was on against that rubber. It's very important to cushion your knot, you know what I mean. Some people use power gum and different things. Me personally, that's what I tend to use. So we come down to the main rig body now, after we look to the trace line. As I said, with a trace line, you can go lighter, you could go £80, you go £60. it's down to preference and what you're targeting, guys, so look at that. Quality is the main thing. You get what you pay for with fishing, whether it's down to reels, whether it's down to rods. And when I say you get what you pay for, you've got to look what you're buying. I mean, a lot of what I've seen happen, especially in the last 10 years now, there's certain things that what you can purchase with rods and reels and stuff like that, and I think companies are switched on to the fact if something's expensive, people want it. And with the likelihoods like Century and Ziplex and that over the years, and Dower and Penn, you know what I mean, they're established manufacturers what produce top quality gear which lasts, you know what I mean. I say that with rods, not necessarily reels now. We've had this discussion and stuff like that. I feel that reels have started to go down instead of going up, really, just by the simple fact of just, I don't know, I feel that they with reels sometimes it's looked upon what America or that or looking at, rather than what we want in the UK. And with mag reels and stuff like that is a big thing over here, you know what I mean, and especially with the type of fishing we're doing and stuff. And I feel personally, I'll go through that a bit later on, but it's a different topic. So business end, so I've got Maxima £100 rig body down there, okay, there now. Love it, love it. You buy a big spool for 50 quid and it'll last you a few years, making thousands of rigs and stuff like that. It's just quality, guys. It lays nice, it fits nice, don't tend to tangle up like that and that when you with the trace, and it's just nice. Now I've got 7-ounce Namix lead on there at the moment. The SKM's the ones I normally use, but I've got an imp, so there's an imp there onto the side. I love the imps. It's guaranteed to release every time, especially if you're using up to 6 O's, you know what I mean. I've had them like with the 8 O's and stuff like that. If they're using a J hook, they handle fine. If you start using like bigger hook, like with chinnies and stuff like that, 9 times out of 10 you go up to like a 6, and that's about it, really. Anything bigger it doesn't hold properly, so we use the little clips as I've gone through before. But then obviously up through here now I've got a rubber bead. I always use the rubber beads. I think the rubber beads are lovely. I've got a proper pulley from Breakaway. I mean, I've been using those proper pulleys now for many years, and I've had a lot of success with them. I've never had them go out and stuff, and I've landed some fantastic fish over the years on them, and I feel confident with using. If I'm out and out rough grounding, I tend to go for a swivel, or if I'm over in Fortventura in Norway, because of the size of the fish you're targeting, that I'll use a swivel. But over here it does everything I want it to do. Rubber bead, and then on there I've got a £100 Gemini swivel, which is exactly the same quality all the way. Always look for quality, guys, at the end of the day. That's one big tip I'll give you. But no, that is basically the pulley rig. So that's me set up with that. That's what I'll be using 9 times out of 10 today.